Welcome to the NRD Rundown Presents, our new weekly show where we talk about one specific topic. Today's topic is our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. We had a pretty big trailer released this past week, and now we're less than a month away from Spider-Man No Way Home, which means there's no better time to celebrate the wall crawler we all love. I cannot believe I said that without stumbling. Here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about some quick Spidey news. We're going to break down the No Way Home trailer. We're going to talk about our favorite Spider-Man villain, what our favorite Spider-Man media is, and who has the best Spider-Man music and the best Spider-Man moments. So as we go through the show, fans out there, think about it. Answer as we go along. So quickly, we're going to talk about some quick Spider-Man news because it expands on something that we talked about last week, which was the Spider-Man freshman year animated show being released on Disney Plus at some point in the next couple of years. We didn't know exactly, what was going to come out of this, but it sounds like after No Way Home, Tom Holland's working on a new deal for a new Spider-Man trilogy. And in between those trilogies, we're going to have these animated shows. So we're going to have freshman year, come out before the next, whatever, if it's Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man 4, and then it'll have another season of a animated show, and then a Spider-Man 5, and then animated show. So, what we have from Tom Holland so far is the animated show freshman year is his freshman year in high school. Homecoming sophomore year. Far From Home is his junior, and then senior year is his No Way Home. So maybe they actually get to him in college. No idea. But what college does he go to, Brett?
Empire College, yeah. So it'd be cool to bring that in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where he was in the animated show from the 90s. He was going to college, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'd be cool to bring that in. It's part of the Spidey universe. But I want to get onto the No Way Home trailer. I want to get your guys' quick thoughts and theories and see what you think. I'll start with the Spider-Man muse himself, Brett D. King, who had his birthday this week, and he got a Spider-Man trailer for it. So, and I got a Spider-Man cake for my birthday
to you. And a Spider-Man cake
from Disney Studio.
Yeah, Tom Holland himself.
Yeah.
Well, first, when it comes to Spider-Man in the trailers, I watched it, but I don't deep dive into it because I don't want to ruin anything. It's I want to go there and enjoy every minute of the 2 hours and 39 minutes that I guess it's supposed to be. I did watch it 4 times though, because I made every one of my classes watch it. We got in a class. We watched it together as a class, and every class is like, "Are we going on a field trip?" And I said, "I'm taking a personal day, so you guys can do whatever you want."
My man.
But
what do you think?
I'm glad that they cleared up. Hey, we do have the villains, and they had that one shot with the Lizard, Electro, and Sandman in it. And I thought at least they're not trying to make that what we focus on for the next month till it's out. Who are the villains? Who's this? I'm glad that they kind of took that off the table. Yes, we have villains. Yes, we're going to take all the theories that we can't do multiple villains in one movie, and we're going to do as many villains as we can cram into this thing, and we're going to do it right. And I'll stop there. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Merrick?
The trailer looked really great. It really did. I love the relationship between Doctor Strange and Tom Holland. Yeah. Tom Holland's Peter Parker. I like the I even like Zendaya in this, I like her Mary Jane. kind of come full circle with her. I did not like that casting initially, and I didn't like the way she portrayed that character at all because it just kind of went against everything that I'd seen before. But she's won me over. She really has. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Action looks good. I like the villains. I'm curious if we're gonna get you have all these villains coming from all over the place, so then I imagine we'll be pulling Spider-Mans from all over the place, and to help him fight. He'll be pulling Peter Parkers from everywhere, and they'll all be kind of working together to do what needs to be done to kind of close that door, I guess, or whatever. But so we'll see. I kind of like Brett. I think I watched it 2 or 3 times, and then I was like, yeah, I'm good. I want to see, I don't want to ruin things. I want to go see it. I want to be surprised at what happens. So I'm not going to break down every clip, or whatever. So how about you, Morg? Because you clearly,
well, now I don't know. Now I don't know what to say because Brett doesn't want to hear anything. Eric doesn't want to hear anything.
I don't listen to what you say.
Let's talk about.
I don't listen to you anyhow. So what does it matter? It's like
good point. Great point. Let's talk about real quick. There was something going into this trailer that we thought we might get and weren't sure if we were going to get it, and that's clearly no official confirmation of. We have these villains coming in from different universes.
Where are the heroes?
Think he's going to be able to handle them by himself? No, he's probably going to need a little bit of help, and he's probably going to get some help from some old Spider-Mans and Tobey Maguire.
I think that's why they confirmed the villains,
Andrew Garfield,
because they wanted to move the theories to that.
Yeah. It's really like it's pretty obvious at this point they're going to be in it, but it's
right.
Official confirmation.
Yeah, I mean, so the trailer was awesome. Of course, we expected it to be, and it was. It was neat seeing all the villains, especially that quick snip of him just jumping at them all, which was just awesome. I definitely think the other Spider-Man will be in this movie. To what extent, I don't know. I also think a decent. I'm going to get in a little bit of theories here. I'm sorry. My theories. I also think a decent amount of some of that action with these villains is going to happen pretty early on in the movie.
Big Morgan theories.
I think too that these villains are going to be changing in the movie. In the concept of the longer they're in this universe, they start to change to be a part of this universe. Nothing they're doing, I think it just naturally happens with like the rift in the multiverse of like, well, the longer you're stuck in somewhere, you actually start becoming that. Hence we saw the old school Green Goblin, and then we saw that different Green Goblin, or we believe it could be the Hobgoblin. We don't know, the one that was throwing like ninja stars.
It's for sure Green Goblin.
Right. So is that from a different universe, or is it Green Goblin is changing because he's stuck in Tom Holland's universe at the moment? I don't know. So that's just my idea. Because they can't throw too much crap in there, or else it's just too much. We know what happens when they do too many things in a movie. And we all saw Spider-Man 3. I'm excited. What they do with it, nobody knows.
I think you're onto something, Morg, because I do believe that Doc Ock is actually going to be an ally after initially battling with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
When he realizes it's not.
Yeah, he'll somehow, I don't know if the inhibitor chip gets taken over or what, or gets broken at some point. And I think he's going to get to be an ally at some point
because they show his tech changing.
Yeah, he absorbs the nanotech from Peter's spider suit. So,
but I guess my question is like, how? Like, why would the nanotech go to him? It's not like his suit was made to absorb other tech, So is it part of that? If he was in the Tom Holland universe where there is a Tony Stark, he would have had that tech from working with Stark, So it's.
I think we're going to find out. I think we're
going to find out soon.
They tease stuff like that, and that's something that we'll just have to wait.
I think it's going to.
There goes Brett.
I think they have to because they want to change it into the Disney version of those characters. So I think they're just going to kind of take, like we saw Electro actually get not the blue suit. So that's going to change. I think they'll say, okay, everyone's been complaining that Lizard didn't have a snout. I think he's going to get more of a snout. Like,
I actually don't think they'll do the snout because they could not find a way to have him emote with a snout, and that's why they went with the.
I don't think it has to be a big
that
snout.
version, but
I think people will be fine with it. Yeah.
So
They've got to
talk
change
about
it somehow.
Can we talk about the Brazilian trailer at all, or no?
Do you think it's just? And this is just kind of a thought that I had while watching the trailer was, do you think that they all have to work together at the end? Like all the villains, I mean all the villains, not just Doc Ock, but all of the villains and the Spider-Man, they all have to work together to close whatever this rift is. Like, do you think, because of what you were saying, Brett, where the conflict takes place with those major villains pretty early on, do you think that there's a possibility that they all see that there's a level of destruction coming that will wipe them all out, and so they're all forced to work together to defeat this bigger overall thing? Just to kind of kicking it out there.
I think that's where the Doc Ock ally comes in. He's the only one I think can see that.
Yeah, I'll say this. So I think they definitely play trailer trickery on us, and because the tag at the end when he's like, they're all coming through, he's on top of the Statue of Liberty, which is where all that scaffolding is taking place. Yeah, they've added the cap shield of the Statue of Liberty. I love it. The scaffolding that they were fighting on earlier in the trailer is all gone from the Statue of Liberty, so it's like it's already fallen down. And then more stuff's going to be coming through at that point. So I don't know if we've not seen everything that's come through, or maybe they just played some trailer trickery on us and played audio at some point from earlier. It'll be really interesting to see what they bring in at the end.
I don't think they'll work together, because if they go back to the universes, most of them died. Why do you want to go back to that?
I was thinking that what Doctor Strange was like.
Line, yeah,
when he's like, they all die in their universe. Do you think Sandman and Lizard were like, whoa, wait a minute?
Well, Sandman didn't die.
Can't wait to get back.
Sandman didn't die.
Well, that's Sandman what I mean. Like, that's why Sandman and Lizard would be
and
like,
neither
what
did
the hell? I don't want to
Lizard.
go back. We all died there.
And neither did Lizard. Lizard got put in jail. Kurt Connors got put in jail. So they didn't all die, but I think there's definitely something. Again,
just Goblin and
Marvel,
Doc, right?
Marvel does a great job of building a narrative before the movie, and it's a completely different narrative when you go to watch it because of what they did with the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a great job with this trailer. Great action, great music.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Can't wait to. I'm usually one of those guys who watches every trailer, every commercial leading up to it. I really don't want to watch anything more from this movie. I need to just stop and.
Except for that Brazilian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna get me going.
You're obsessed with the Brazilian trailer
because it showed some big things.
I know it really did. Did you watch?
But I won't say anything because Brett's here.
I'll just ask Brett. Did you?
I did not watch it, and I don't plan on watching it.
All right.
It does show something.
I do not plan on watching it, so you can tell me whatever you want.
It's just a Brazilian trailer. It's all. Just so. Moving on to our next topic, which is villains, Spidey villains. We've talked about on the show before the rogues gallery that Spidey has, and it's up there with the best of them, if not the best rogues gallery. He has Green Goblin, Venom, Sandman, Electro, Shocker, Kingpin. I mean, he's battled. His villains are up there with some of the greatest. Batman and Spidey might have the best rogues gallery, and I think we all have our own favorite Spider-Man villain. What we know Brett's, but go ahead, Brett. Why don't you tell us why Doc Ock is your favorite? And on top of it, if I'm assuming I know who your favorite Spider-Man movie villain casting is, but go ahead and two-part question. Why is Doc Ock your favorite, and who's your favorite Spider-Man villain casting?
Well, yes, Doc Ock is my favorite villain. And he's my favorite. He really became my favorite after the Superior Spider-Man one, where it was like going down that path of redemption, and it's almost, I wonder if they're kind of going that route with the movie here. And I don't hate the idea, but I also don't love the idea, because it, like, if he's gonna be a villain, I want to see a villain. I want to see a good villain. I don't want to see him walk that line, because I got really tired of the Sam Raimi version where I always had to feel bad for the villain. Like
Right.
every one of them, you felt bad for the villain. At the
Sympathetic
end. I
villain,
don't want that. Yeah, I don't want that. Like, if you do it with one of them in that movie, okay, but please do not do it with all of them. So he's my favorite, and I can't give you a reason why. Like, I just like the back and forth him and Spider-Man have. As far as casting, no, my favorite casting was actually Michael Keaton. Like, I thought he was a great villain, and I liked him as a villain because they didn't do the sympathetic thing. Like, he was relatable, but I didn't feel bad for him.
Right.
Like, I understand he was trying to provide for his family, but he was doing it the wrong way, and he was a villain, and he was a villain. Like, at the end of the day, he was a villain, and it wasn't personal against Peter Parker. It wasn't personal against Spider-Man. He was doing it because he was a villain. So that was my favorite casting, as far as all of them.
Beautiful point. Eric?
I'm the weakest link when it comes to the Spider-Man stuff. So,
Why are you agreeing with that?
I am the weakest link. I am the weakest. Yeah, so emphatically, you were like, I should have said, I'm the weakest link. Full stop.
We know he's the
especially with the Spider-Man stuff.
Like,
yeah,
Morgan's the weakest Star Wars link, so
he's
that.
So,
from Star Wars, that's all. Not more involved.
From the Spider-Man perspective and comic books just in general, I'm definitely the weaker link. So my history is only with the movies, and briefly with the TV show when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, the TV show was on reruns. It was, and this is from the 70s, which was cool because, I mean, I got to watch Spider-Man, whenever he was on TV and stuff. And it was lame, but I was a kid. I didn't know, I was Spider-Man. That was pretty cool. So Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's vision for that was, to me, like, groundbreaking, because you really had not seen a superhero movie like that before. You had Batman, but he didn't fly through the skyscrapers like they did with that Spider-Man. And his origin story, I love his origin story. And I love the villain. I love the Green Goblin villain in that. I love William Dafoe. I think his casting of Norman Osborn, because he better than anybody else has this duality to him. Like, you could totally buy that there's a duality to him, that he is this normal business guy who's interested in science, but then when he takes the serum, like, he's so driven that he takes the serum himself, that all of a sudden he really has this split personality into who he is. And you could totally, really, you could buy, like, I remember that scene where he hears the goblin voice, he hears it off in the distance, where he's walking through his, like, mansion or whatever, and he can hear the goblin's voice in his head, but it's, like, way off in the distance. And so that's my favorite is William Dafoe's Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. I love that casting. I love that version of Spider-Man. That's my favorite because of where it came in the order. I don't know that it's the best still, but for me, it's the best in my mind. So yeah,
I love it. Yeah, great answer. I mean, it's a classic, one of the classic comic book villains of all time. Absolutely, I can't wait to see him back. Like, just hearing the laugh and the cannot wait. Go ahead, Mark.
So my favorite Spider-Man villain, which you most people might not realize is kind of a Spider-Man.
Luke Skywalker.
It's Luke Skywalker, because Spider-Man can obviously beat Luke Skywalker. No, it's Kingpin. I love Kingpin. I love that character. He doesn't even have superpowers. He's just such a giant commanding presence that he can hold his own with how big he is, and he's very, very smart. I mean, he's a mob guy, but he gets into the politics. He gets a lot of power. He has his own army essentially. He's a very formidable foe. Yeah, he's a very formidable foe to Spider-Man, and that's why I like him. And you don't feel bad for him. He's a piece of crap, like that's what he is. Yeah. Now the actor, my favorite casting is I'm with Eric on this one. I loved Willem Dafoe as the Goblin and Osborn. I thought he did a great job. He transitioned in between that crazy and normal. I even think I saw he wore fake teeth when he was Osborn, and they would use his natural teeth when he was the Goblin. Because his natural teeth are just jacked up, so it looks more evil and menacing. If you look back at the movie, you can tell he has two different teeth when he's transitioning.
That?
I don't think I picked up on that.
Yeah. What'd you say, Brett?
How do you think he took that? Hey, put these in when you.
He probably understood. I mean, he knows what he looks like.
He's a professional.
No, I think he's the best casting. Now, I will say that could change if Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is a thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and he becomes more of a Batman villain. Then I would pick him. But that's just all up in the air.
Oh, for sure.
We do love ourselves some D'Onofrio.
You did say Batman, Morgan.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I meant.
that was a good question.
Luke Skywalker.
Where'd you get the question from?
One of our makers, Bill Poor, love the question about the casting. I agree with you on the casting. Agree with you, Brett. Michael Keaton is my favorite Spider-Man movie villain. I think that scene with him when he shows up for the dance, from the moment he opens the door and that reveal happens.
Yeah, that's sealed the deal.
My heart it was like classic Spider-Man scene. Like he's happy. He's like dancing with Aunt May. He's learning how to dance. He's getting to go to the dance with the hottest girl in school. It's classic Spider-Man where it's like everything is going well, and then boom, he gets knocked. Gets punched in the stomach, and it's here's this villain, and then that's the tension that builds in that scene is amazing. So Michael Keaton does a great job figuring it out in the car, and you could just see him visually figuring it out, and then when having a little dad scene. Talk, I mean, he scares the crap out of me in that scene. I can't imagine being a 15-year-old kid
having
that conversation. So he is Batman. Yeah. So
all the castings have been good though. Like I'll say that most
for sure.
Well, Thomas Hayden Church, I loved him.
He had the look of Sandman. He looked exactly like Flint Marko from the comics.
He's
Topher Grace is Venom.
Okay,
that's the only one. And I don't hate that idea. I just need to do it differently.
Yeah, it was really just a terribly done plot line.
That was bad.
My favorite Spider-Man villain, though, has always been Shocker. So kind of a smaller scale Spider-Man villain, but still one of the more powerful ones. So I'm maybe not the best Shocker villain in Homecoming, but it was still good to see him.
I liked they both had both of them. Like there was two of them in it, and I liked. Yeah, I thought the first guy did better.
Yeah.
Because I hated him. The other guy was just following orders, which I guess is a shocking thing to do.
Why can't I? Joaquin Woodbine.
What a shocker.
All right, moving on. So the next question is, what's your favorite Spider-Man media? Meaning, if you had to sit down and watch a Spider-Man something or play, because it could be a video game. Is it a movie? Is it a TV show? Is it a comic? Is it a video game? Is it the Broadway show? Yeah,
they
absolutely.
Keep killing actors.
So, Morgan, real quick, what's your favorite Spider-Man media?
Wow. I didn't know we could bring video games into this. That's tough. My instinct is the movies, and that's just purely because
you got to pick one. You can't just pick them all.
Then I'm gonna go with the video game, the newest Spider-Man video game, as well as the Miles Morales one, because you get to be Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and it's a fantastic story. Well done. Voice acting is great, and you're Spider-Man. That's the closest you're going to get to be Spider-Man, is playing him in a video game. So I think I'm going to have to go with that, because I have played that game 5-6 times all the way through. It's fantastic. So I'm going with that.
All right, good. Eric?
The movies for me, it's
which one
easy.
In particular though?
So I already kind of said it earlier. I think the Tobey Maguire for Spider-Man. I think maybe it's just a nostalgia thing for that one, because. Do
you like the first Spider-Man more than Spider-Man 2?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't really like Spider-Man 2 all that much, but I mean, it wasn't terrible. I didn't think it was terrible. I just.
Can we start hating Eric now?
I just like
absolutely.
I think why I like it better is I like the villain better, and I love the origin story. I love the sequence where he's learning to be Spider-Man. It's not like I love the Batman Begins, and I love the Dark Knight. They're clearly, the Dark Knight is probably a better movie, but I actually like Batman Begins better because I just like the origin story section of those, and so that's why Spider-Man 2 is probably a better movie, and it's probably a better plot line, but I just enjoy the first one because I enjoy watching him fail over and over again, trying to learn how to be Spider-Man, and I think that's one of the things that I struggled with the Andrew Garfield version was it didn't feel like he learned to be Spider-Man. Like there was some, but there was no like Maguire slammed himself into the building and there was a lot of really screw up stuff, where that would be how it would be, I think you look at Shazam, when he's learning to be Shazam and learn how to do that. There's all kinds. There's all kinds of So it was like there's all these different, because it would, if you all of a sudden woke up one day and had these powers, I mean, the scene in the subway with Andrew Garfield, it was stupid. It didn't feel right. It was it just didn't, I just didn't like it. But anyhow, so I would go with the movies, and I would go with that. So,
I love that point about Dark Knight and Batman Begins, because I feel the same way. I think Dark Knight's probably a better movie, but I watch Batman Begins way more.
Right.
But I think I'd have to really think about this if I would rather watch Spider-Man 1 more than Spider-Man 2, because I
don't want to disparage, and I know that I keep leaving out Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I'm not, but not intentionally doing that, because I really enjoy Tom. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I really do. I just feel like that Spider-Man fits in a wider universe and is not just a Spider-Man franchise, whereas the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are just Spider-Man focused franchises, whereas Holland fits in this larger MCU arc, and
that's a great point.
Yeah, so I don't know, that's kind of.
No, that's a great point. It really does. I think that's why people, do you tend to love a Spider-Man more connected to a larger universe, or do you like a more contained Spider?
Yeah.
Can I just note that the Tobey Maguire webbing just freaks me out. I just hate that it comes out of his wrist. Just really gets me.
The organic.
I think origin-wise, I do think that Tobey Maguire had a better origin, him learning to be Spider-Man. But there's one scene in the Andrew Garfield ones that I thought they did a lot better than all the Tobey Maguires, and that's the scene where he's working on the webbing and the capacitors, and that felt very much like Spider-Man being the smart person that he is, and going back and retooling his own devices to beat one specific villain because he used to have to do that. So I thought they did that a lot. Yeah. I thought they did that a lot better. Like that part felt more like Spider-Man than a lot of the things that Tobey Maguire had done. He hit some walls. Like I absolutely believe that him learning Spider-Man was better than Andrew Garfield on the subway and at a skateboard park. Like,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
I don't know if it was like a fake skateboard park or something.
But I will say from an emotional perspective, Andrew Garfield's loss of Uncle Ben feels more real, and feels more. The scene where Flash comes up to him and wants to connect to him, and he like snaps at him, which was huge. I mean, that's a huge amount of growth on the part of a throwaway character. Flash is a throwaway character in that, you know what I mean? Like in the movie he is, they don't flesh out that character, and I get why they don't flesh out that character. I mean, but he plays this villain to this small part villain, but it's a very tender moment where he tries to it's like, hey man, I'm I've beat you up before, and you kicked my butt last time, but like I feel what you're going through, and I felt like I felt a lot more emotional connection to that than I did to the Tobey Maguire when he loses Uncle Ben, probably because Tobey Maguire's an ugly crier, but but I just felt I think Garfield is a better actor in that sequence, and especially that scene with Flash. I think it was a very tender moment, and I think it was really, really well done. So
I think that's a really good point. I think it's a really good point.
Really, really good point. Yeah. And for me, I think I'd go with the video game as well, Morgan, because it's long, the PS4 version. It's a long story. It's a great story. It's one of the best Peter Parkers we've seen. It's got amazing villains in it. It's got the Sinister Six, the Doc Ock in it, the turn. Oh yeah, the Doc Ock in is incredible. It's gut wrenching. Which is what Spider-Man is supposed to be. Everything is supposed to be gut wrenching for him. So, Brett, what do you think? What if you had to pick one Spider-Man media? What would you choose?
I wouldn't. You can go right on to the next one.
Death.
Fair. I didn't know that was an option.
What comes with what comes with Spider-Man is a great theme. We've talked about themes and scores and stuff on this show, and every Spider-Man we've seen, I think, has had a great theme, but everybody has their own preference on what is the best theme. For me, I think the Amazing Spider-Man 2 theme is my favorite Spider-Man theme, but I'd like to hear what you guys' favorite theme is. I'll go to Eric because he's my score buddy nerd. And for you, what's the best Spider-Man theme?
Well, I do love James Horner. I really do. I think he's a phenomenal composer. That Amazing Spider-Man stuff was good.
James Horner did the first one, and then Hans Zimmer did Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's funny.
Oh, okay. So I've never seen the second one, so I don't even know. I really didn't like the first one that much, so I never even watched the second Spider-Man.
Oh, I think you're missing out.
Yeah.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I
think the second one's better than people give it credit.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It gets the worst rep, but I really like that first 15 minutes where he's a neighborhood Spider-Man doing neighborhood Spider-Man things.
Yeah. Which is one of my favorite parts of Spider-Man.
And the suit
and Batman and the Punisher. That's what I've always loved about those characters, is that they're local guys. It's not some sort of planetary or universe, altering villain. It's a local guy solving local problems, right. And that's out of your superheroes. That's kind of what you want. But I'll go back to Danny
2 real quick. Amazing Spider-Man 2 has maybe the best Spider-Man action out of anything.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man action. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well,
did you say Danny Elfman?
Well, I want to say Danny Elfman. I really do like Danny Elfman's from the original Spider-Man, but I don't know who did the Tom Holland Spider-Man theme.
It's
the first
Michael
Giacchino. Yeah. Okay. So I may go with Giacchino's score. I really do, because I do like that theme that he did for Spider-Man, especially in I just liked it. I think I'll go with Giacchino on this one.
Well, it brings back these, like, it's like he did a updated version of the 60s animated theme song.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, and it's got that like nostalgia piece to it, but also it's updated, and I don't know. Brett, what's your favorite theme?
I like the one with Lucy Lawless. What was she singing? No, she didn't sing. That wasn't. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I liked the one with the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
and I liked it because I like the subtle hints, especially during the electro scenes, where it was like they had the music, it sounded electronic, and then you had like the voice that kept building and building and building and building, and you could see this man, like it played into the movie just as much, because you could see a man going from what he was to what he's going to be as the music made it happen. And then I liked, I think like I'm way off of themes here, but I like that one because I felt like that was one of the best Spider-Man movies, and it was all the little things they did in it that were so, I felt, extremely on spot with a lot of the comics. Like I felt like they did a lot of things extremely well in it. They definitely did some things not so good, but like the little things they did, like when he was trying to save Gwen at the very end and he shoots the spider web and it looks like a hand coming down to catch her. Like, it's like all the little things they did, I thought were great. And if I would recommend watching that one. It gets a terrible rap, but it's 100 times better than.
I actually watch it more than any other Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it is definitely the best costume. It's better than
by
Tom Holland
far.
ones.
It's so amazing. It looks like Todd McFarlane.
It is great, and they did such a great job. I thought all the costumes that they did in that one were better, because even that first costume they made in Amazing Spider-Man 1, like that looked like something a kid would make.
Right.
Like it was
like what? It was just like a suit you ordered online.
If they changed the eyes on it to white eyes, it would have been the second best suit, you know. So I like that. Todd McFarlane is my favorite Spidey. And that Amazing Spider-Man suit really reminded me of that. All right. So Spider-Man, he's one of the greatest heroes, because he's one of the most relatable heroes. We've all had trouble paying our rent, and you know, you always feel $1 short on something. And another reason why it's relatable is because he has these Spider-Man moments that you are just, it's emotional in a way that you can relate to it, whether it's saving the day or whatever. You can see yourself doing it. Spider-Man just makes you feel so many emotions, and it's one of the reasons why he's just the greatest hero of all time. So I want to ask you guys what your favorite Spider-Man moment is. It could be from a video game, it could come from comics, movies, TV show. I'm going to end on Brett. So I'm going to start with you, Eric. What's your favorite Spider-Man moment?
So I kind of talked about it earlier. The origin story in Tobey Maguire's originally came to my mind when I was thinking about it. That was the original thing that kind of came to my mind. But I actually will go with a scene from Tom Holland, and it really isn't all that Spider-Man-ish. Anyhow, it is the scene with him and RDJ where he comes back after the snap, you know, where he comes back after the snap, and Tony grabs him and just hugs him, you know, and he, it's just a tender moment, and you can hear Holland go, oh, that's nice, you know, and it's just a super tender moment, you know, of Spider-Man. He doesn't know where he's been, you know, he doesn't know that he's been missing for 5 years, you know, but Tony having that moment, Tony caring for him that much, where he grabs the kid and gives him a hug. So I don't know. That's kind of my favorite.
That's a good one.
My favorite. So
it's been 5 years for Tony, and he's missed him. And
Yep.
it's two perspectives.
I mean, he does keep a picture of him by the sink, so when he's washing dishes,
and it inspires him. Inspires him to create time travel.
Yeah.
Morgan, what's your favorite Spider-Man moment?
Yeah, thanks, Steve Stump. So yeah, my favorite theme is the new Spider-Man movies. I appreciate you asking me.
Did I skip over you?
You did, totally.
Yeah, he totally did. Whatever.
he earned it after the Luke Skywalker thing. He's earned everything.
But that's my favorite theme. Just saying.
This is how we slowly cut Morgan out of the show.
Slowly cut me out.
So wait, I'm sorry, Morgan. So the new Tom Holland theme is your favorite?
The new Tom Hollands are my favorite theme because they work it into the Avengers music or the Marvel music, I would say, while doing the play on the 60s. And it just sounds more superhero to me than some of the other stuff. But anyway, so what is the question? Favorite moment. Yeah, this was tough because in my head I was thinking that great scene from the first one where you got Mary Jane and the Carter kids falling and you see it in the eyes, and that's a great scene. But I think honestly, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't played the Spider-Man video game, the new one. I think my favorite is when he has to choose what to do with the antidote at the end, as far as does he save Aunt May or does he save New York or the world possibly? Because it's a classic Spider-Man situation where, again, that's what he is. He's so many bad things happen to this poor kid. He's not a kid in the game, but so many bad things happen to him in his life, and that's a great moment of having to choose and do the right thing, what he knows is the right thing. And it just really draws me. It's a tough moment that you didn't quite expect at the end of the game. I won't say what he chooses, but
it's a gut punch for sure. I think I told this story recently. When I played it recently, I was like, man, I forget how much of a gut punch that scene is because it's tough. He's just so close. Good answer. My favorite Spider-Man moment. I really, 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 really love the train scene in Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
And that's more of an action-y one, but it's got some of the best. He just does so many amazing things as Spider-Man. He shoots his web and he's sliding across the street in between cars, and he's flying through bridges, and then he ends up saving the day. And I think that's my favorite Spider-Man moment. It's really hard to pick though because there's so many, and I gotta have so many, but I'll go with that one because that one I remember seeing it in the trailer and in the theater twice on opening night and just being blown away every time. So Brett, what's your favorite Spider-Man moment? Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Brett? Can you
Are you there?
We're going in and out here.
Can you hear us?
No, you're laughing, but we're going in and out here. I'm going to give you I'm sorry, but I got to give you 3.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And all of them are from the
we can hear you fine.
Yeah, but I can't hear you.
You don't need to hear us.
There we go.
Yeah.
I guess the first one is like I said, Superior Spider-Man was my favorite run. I really liked let's see, at the kind of the very end of it, where because Doc Ock had taken over Spider-Man, his body, and he was trying to be a hero. And at the very end, when Doc Ock kind of realizes, I've got to hand this one back, and to save somebody that he loves, and so he kind of gives it back. And Spider-Man, actual Peter Parker Spider-Man, goes to fight Green Goblin, and of course it'd been like 35, 38 issues or something like that of a Doc Ock version of Spider-Man, and Peter Parker shows up to this fight and immediately makes a joke on on Green Goblin's purple purse, and Green Goblin immediately knows he's not dealing with Doc Ock anymore. And it's like, it hits me right in the feels every time, like, because it's just one scene of Green Goblin turning and he just says, "You."
Oh, crap.
And he just knows it's not Doc Ock anymore.
Yeah.
The next one I liked was in the run called Back in Black, and it's right after the Civil War, and when people knew who Spider-Man was, and Aunt May is in trouble, and things are going terribly for Peter Parker, and he's trying to find out who shot Aunt May, and he has a couple run-ins because he's in ruthless mode. Like, he's in ruthless mode. We are finding the answer to this, and we are doing it as quick as possible because I've got to get through. I don't know if revenge is the word, but he's out for revenge. And he first goes to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark, because Tony Stark is the one who outed him, kind of, not like he did. And he just wipes the floor with him. Like, it's just like one of those things where you just don't know how much he's holding back until he lets loose. And he just mops the floor with Tony Stark and gets an answer. And then he goes straight into prison to Kingpin. And of course, Kingpin is like, "Oh, you have a set of rules and you can't do this." And he just bloodies the crap.
Is he in
out
the
of
black
this
suit? Is that what it's called? Black?
Yeah, because he puts that suit on.
Yeah. It gives him a little extra.
It's his dark mode.
Oh no! It's clothes. It's not the actual black.
Oh, it's not the same. Okay.
It's what the Black Cat gave him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then the last moment I have, if you haven't read it, if you read one run of Spider-Man, read Renew Your Vows, and let's see, there's like an apocalyptic event, and he goes to the Avengers, and they kind of say, "Oh, we've got to go do this. There's this big apocalyptic event. We've got to go fight it." And then he gets word that Eddie Brock has been released from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we talked about this one recently. Yeah.
Yep. And he so he immediately is like, "Oh, Avengers, you're on your own. I've got to save Mary Jane and his daughter at the time." And so he flies to this, and it's another one of those moments where you don't know how much he's holding back until he just wipes the floor. And he, like, Venom is cocky and he's Venom, and Parker just takes him into a building and just destroys him. And then Mary Jane burns the place down, and they straight kill Venom. And it's just it's a strong scene.
Yeah.
Those are my three.
Those are good ones.
If you're gonna read one, read Renew Your Vows. Like, I think it's only four of them.
I do want to. Last time you talked about that, I was like, I need to go get that.
I don't know. Nothing makes a marriage stronger than murdering somebody.
You gotta keep it secret.
Nachos are
Yeah.
I love those because Spidey is one of the more, like, powerful heroes in the Marvel universe, and people don't really understand it. He once punched a Celestial in the face. Like, he's knocked him down. He's very powerful.
Wants to.
He's always right there.
Yeah, he figured out if you tire out the Hulk, he'll kind of revert back to Bruce real quick. Am I making that up?
I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that, but I wouldn't be surprised if, like, that he's powerful, but he also uses his brain like that too. So, the first, this is right here. If I can figure out how to do backwards, this is the first appearance of Spider-Man. He's just doing a local friendly Spider-Man neighborhood stuff there. He's just one of the greatest. Real quick, I want to get who's your favorite Spidey girl friend? Is it MJ? Is it Gwen? Is it Black Cat? Is it what's Betty Brant? Right? Who's your favorite? Mine would be Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy. I thought she was a perfect Gwen Stacy. Who's your favorite, Brett?
Movie wise, I like Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. We're gonna get
Eric?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mary Jane, Kirsten Dunst, Mary Jane. I just
bring it on.
Yeah, I've seen that movie so many times. It's
we all have.
It's that kiss in the rain.
It's the rain scene, of course.
Yeah, it's the rain scene. That's
why you like her.
That's the one that did it for me. So, but like I said earlier, Zendaya's really kind of changed my opinion because of how quirky she played that Mary Jane. It was so different from what I'd seen before. I didn't at first like it, but I've come around. So I do like Zendaya, but I have to give my nod to Kirsten Dunst. So
I like how they treat it like a high school romance, though, where it's like a little bit awkward, a little bit like
it's like 70% awkward.
It's like that scene Far From Home. It's perfect where he's like, you look pretty, and she's like, oh, so I'm just
yeah, right. I love she just runs rings around him. That's the beauty of her Mary Jane is she just runs. She is the ringleader in that whole thing. Like he is playing catch up that entire time, and it just is it's fun. So
okay, real quick, Morgan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Zendaya, or MJ. I just like her in it. I like everything we just said, the way she is, her wittiness, and I think it's a good match for him. And just so I'm clear, she's not the MJ, right? Like, because her name's not Mary Jane.
It's never really stated.
She says her name.
It's like, their version. It's just like the new age version, I think.
Okay, I didn't know if they would.
It's not. It doesn't.
They did it that way.
It leaves it open for a Mary Jane Watson down the road, I guess. But I think they're doing.
No, I like her a lot. I think this.
Maybe in that next trilogy they'll go with a Gwen.
Right. I mean, when they kill her off in the new movie, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I know she could be dying in it, so we'll see. We love Spider-Man. We freaking love Spider-Man. I could talk Spider-Man all day. I cannot wait for No Way Home. I can't wait for more Spider-Man. Just give me more and more and more. I just got a PS5. I'm going to go get Miles Morales and play that. Mm-hmm. Any kind of Spider-Man, I'm down for. So we love it.
Last night we were watching. We were getting ready to watch Ghostbusters 2, actually, because Jackson hasn't seen Ghostbusters 2 yet. So we're sitting down. We're getting ready to go into the theater, and so we start watching the movie a little bit. And he goes, they're at a birthday party, and I said, yeah. He says, you know who I want at my birthday party is Spider-Man. He says, you know what I want to be when I grow up, Dad? And I said, what's that? He says, I want to be in the Army. I want to join the Army. I gotta wait for Brett to come back on this one because
I know where'd you go, Brett?
Bro's like, I don't give a crap about your story.
He's like, I want to.
There he is.
Go ahead. I to follow him up.
He says, I want to join the Army and I want to be Spider-Man. Those are the two things I want to be when I grow up. And I thought, because I knew we were going to do the show today, and I said, that's so great, buddy. I said, you'd make a great Spider-Man, and I said, what do you want to do in the Army? So I want to drive tanks and shoot bazookas. And I was like, although he calls them bazookas. Yeah. He doesn't say the B. He says, I want to shoot bazookas. And I was like, all right,
that
Paschetti.
That's funny because I'll say real quick too. Recently, Carson, my son, was talking to me, and he goes, can I grow up to create the spider that makes Spider-Man and then just have it bite me? And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I'm not going to stop you. You absolutely could do that. Go ahead. Have it bite me too.
Please do that.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. We always talk about how Carson is he's going to be the savior of the universe. Maybe that's how he saves
That's how he does it. He's going to create the spider.
Yeah.
Going back to Ghostbusters 2, I work at a school here and I coach a couple sports, and I always bring a picture of Vigo the Carpathian on the bus for good luck. And so I do softball, and the girls are like, look, that's got to stop. Like, we've got to get a better picture to hang up on the bus as we go. And I was like, well, who would be better? And they're like, can we get Matthew McConaughey? And I was like, we absolutely can. Yeah. So then I put this together. And so now I keep that it has magnets, so I keep it on the front of my desk.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to see the next person.
That's awesome.
Carpathian, man.
I put it up and they're like, really?
The best of both worlds. What's the problem?
That's amazing. Okay, well, wrapping up, we love Spider-Man. I think that's pretty apparent. And there's so many reasons why we love him, and hopefully some of these reasons that we stated today come out and show why we love him. But there's so many more reasons why we love Spider-Man. We'll talk more Spider-Man as we move along in this show. He's a big character in our lives, and we'll never get sick of him. He's just the best. He's the best hero of all time. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And even though he's my third favorite hero of all time, he's the best hero of all time. I don't think there's a whole lot of debate to that. Maybe a little bit with Batman, but there's a lot of parallels between those two guys anyway. We appreciate, Brett, you joining us. Again, thank you so much. There's the Ghostbusters calling. You get a call.
I think I just heard it.
We got one!
He's got to go.
He's got to go.
He's got to go.
Yeah, I gotta go here.
Thank you.
He's the hero.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Nerd Rundown Presents Spider-Man. And we'll see you guys next week on the Nerd Rundown Presents.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.